Hello and welcome to Real Estate 360.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Steve Conley, hashtag unemployable.
This is Jason O. Miles, hashtag the real estate trainer. What's going on, man?
Well, you know, everything, man. It's just another day in real estate paradise. And, you know, we're going to talk today. We have got a really, really interesting show for you today. And the reason it's so interesting is because from my perspective, when I was trying to learn real estate, all I wanted to know was, what did you do, whoever was talking, what did you do to make money in real estate? What was the process? What happened? What was the real estate? What was the transaction? What was the paperwork? What was the outcome? I wanted to know all that. And so I was always looking for the stories so I could model those.
Right. And on the other side of that, the flip side of that are, you know, the downside, the ugly side of real estate, you know, what to avoid and what to look for so that I know what to avoid, you know, because there was a lot of that going on, you know, and there still is, to be honest with you. But I don't think it's ever been as rampant as it was in the early 2000s up until,
You know, when I was considering being a lawyer when I was in school, I took one of the first, contract law courses and opened the book. And do you know what 95% of the legal cases were in that book?
Fraud?
Contracting and real estate. It was all real estate. Every bit of it was real estate.
Just contract law.
Yeah.
Just straight contract law.
Most all of it.
Wow.
It was crazy. But, so we're going to do stories today.
Story time with Stephen Miles.
Stephen Miles, but before
put your nightcaps on.
We do that, I got a question for you.
I'm ready.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Well,
now this is out of left field, so I got to give you a minute.
I don't want to grow up. Okay. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
All right, let's leave it like that.
So, I mean, there is no growing up. There's just being an old kid, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
I think you're right. I think we're all like 7-year-olds, or less,
and we mask it with maturity. You know?
Yeah, let's do.
That's the truth. I mean, we have to try to be mature.
Yeah,
you know, everyone wants to just have a tantrum every now and then. I mean, just think about it. You don't like something on the inside, you're kicking and you're screaming and you're losing it.
Right.
On the outside, in your conscious mind, you have to, compose yourself and, be okay for society.
I don't really feel that way very often.
Oh, I disagree. I know you, sir.
Well, okay. Maybe I don't identify with feeling that way. All right. So
I can see you kicking and screaming sometimes.
Stop
like
it.
A necromonger. I can see inside you there,
So let's get into the stories.
So tell me, Steve.
Yeah.
You've been around a couple years more than I have, just a couple.
Yeah, 2.
And you've had an opportunity to experience quite a bit through a lot of different cycles.
Right.
Since the 80s.
Sure.
What, like right now, what just jumps out at you? Like if just the one thing, I know that's quite a, large span to look at, but what's the one thing that you said, I will never forget this, or this lesson I'll never lose this lesson?
Wow. Okay. Listen, just for the audience's edification, we have not talked about this.
No, we have not.
This is like, you're hearing the question at the same time I'm hearing this question. So I might need a second to think about that. Yeah. But, I got to say, I'd probably just would not have gotten involved in single-family rentals at all.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Really. I mean, it is very slow money.
It is.
Limited
Nothing
tax
wrong
advantages.
with those.
No.
It just doesn't fit my personality.
It's a valid strategy.
Yeah.
Until someone has 100 of them and they realize they don't have the temperament for it.
Oh, yeah. And I probably wouldn't invest in Macon again. So
it's different today. It's a little different today with everything that's going on with the growth of our city, which is amazing. But again, everybody's focused on this light rail that's going to be coming down there.
Yeah, but that's like
20 years from now.
I know. Good grief.
It's a long time. It's like, okay, when you're young, it's fine. Plant the tree.
Yeah.
You know, when you're young, plant the tree for the most part, right? I mean, if you're trying to make your own financial mark in the world, plant your tree when you're 20 or 30.
Sure.
You know?
Nothing wrong with that.
But when you're 50, 60, I mean, you might plant a tree for the next generation. That's fine if you've got the additional income. But if you know something's going to take 20 years to come to fruition, and your whole thing is to make money today, that's probably not what you're going to invest in.
I'm on the clock. I don't know about you, but let's do a story.
Tell me something.
Okay. Here's one that, and I wrote down a few for our show today. And one of them is 3 houses that came across my desk in Oakland City. And, okay, so what I want to know when I'm listening to a story is, where did they come from? How did you find the properties? How did you get them funded? What did you do with them? What was the process? And did you make any money with them or not? So I can model that. So these came from a guy that's a wholesaler. Now, all 3 of them were a package deal, and he called me up and he said, I got to sell these, and I got to sell them right now. And I said, why? You know, I want to know what's his motivation. He says, well, I have a lender on these that is charging me an outrageous amount of money every day. And so I later learned that he was paying a monthly payment, what we would consider a monthly payment, every day.
Oh, my goodness.
That's pretty high rate of interest. Some people would call that usury. So, but I knew his motivation. And so I said, okay, how much? And he told me, and I said, wow, these look pretty good. You know what these are.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So these came from basically a wholesaler. And I wouldn't call him necessarily a wholesaler, even though that's kind of what he is. But he didn't really understand the process.
Right.
The real process. He would find, but he could find good deals. He just didn't know what he was looking at, right?
Yeah. And
so I said, yeah, I'll take those, you know, and wrote a contract on them, and then you got involved.
Right.
I sent them out, you know, on the list. And I sent them to you, and you said, hey, let's do something with these. Now, I'm going to kind of shuffle this story off to you a little bit. You're not prepared for this exactly, but you know what the story is.
I absolutely know what the story is. So it's very similar to the 5-6 house story.
That's next on my list. It's very similar.
Very similar, right. You know, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, right? It's not that you're stronger at finding. Well, you are actually. I have a process. My process. I'm really good at finding buyers. I've always been very, very good at that.
Yes.
And understanding and structuring deals. You're very good at finding deals and putting them together as well, structuring deals as well.
And that's why we work so well together. That's how we started out.
That's right.
You know,
that's exactly
20 years ago, and I didn't even realize that.
Right.
You know, so
that's exactly
this
right.
works pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. And there are all these different times where we look at deals. You know, these deals that may come up, and he'll have an idea, and then I'll have an idea, and he'll be like, "Oh, well, that's great," and I'll be like, "Yeah, let's do that, Steve," or, you know, because he'll have something, and we'll put our experiences together, basically.
Yeah.
And say, because sometimes, no matter how broad we think we're looking at something, sometimes we're not looking at everything, and in this business,
always we're not looking at.
That's
everything.
Exactly right.
We're never looking at everything. That's why 2 minds, 3 minds creates, you know, a third or fourth more powerful mind.
Very, very powerful.
Yes.
Much because we'll have deals, and we'll just off the cuff look at different things, and he'll be like, "Well, you know, I never thought of that," or I'll be like, "What? Didn't think of that," and we'll structure it that way. So with this, you know, he found them, he negotiated these deals, and then it was my job to make sure that we could execute, basically get them sold in a certain amount of time, and we did.
We sure did.
You know, we had 3 different buyers at the exact same time.
Yeah.
You know.
And you put that together.
Yeah.
I put the funding together to buy them because it didn't really we had the buyers,
Yeah.
but we didn't have the funding all lined up. So
That's right.
we had one house out of those three what closed on the exact same day that we did our funding for the whole package. So we used the $60,000 or so out of that sale
To roll
of the
over
first
into
house.
the others.
Took 20 of that and put down on our financing to fund the other two. And then we close those out in the next 30 days or so.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And that was a pretty good return on
That was a
investment.
fantastic return. I think we made like 45,000 on those somewhere collectively.
Yeah.
Collectively. So it was an absolutely fantastic option.
My favorite saying on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because, that's not our full-time job.
No.
I mean, that was one thing we were doing while we were doing what we normally do.
A million other things.
So, $45,000 for a part-time job's not a bad part-time little
Listen,
gig.
there's a lot of people listening to this right now. 45,000 is
Is their full-time job.
for the whole year. That's it. So let's take a break.
We'll Buy Your House. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español. Llámanos. Call us today.
All right, we are back. We are back. Steve, that is a great story, and it really makes me think of a bunch of stuff. We collectively bought, structured, and sold that particular package, right?
Yes.
But most people, like you mentioned about this wholesaler, he's limited.
Right.
He's limited to what he can do because he's limited to what he thinks about.
Right.
And the conversations he allows himself to have.
And his experience and his understanding and his ability to market and all of this all goes into play.
That's right. That's right. And I think it starts from the time you wake up in the morning. Most people wake up in the morning still on yesterday, still with the memories and the pain and the anguish of yesterday, literally yesterday in a lot of cases, right?
Right.
You have to wake up being present so that you can walk into your future. Because if you drag yesterday with you, you're way down. You're never going to get there.
It's really stuff I've been kind of digging into lately. It's who are you? Who am I? What's my identity? And if you carry, like you just said, if you carry your failures over from the previous day, then you're a failure.
Right.
That's your identity.
Because you're immediately carrying emotional baggage with you, and you're making decisions today based on stuff that happened yesterday that have a whole different set of circumstances associated with them.
And physics will show us that they're not connected.
They are not, but if you believe they are, they will be.
Totally.
And you will simply just be in that place for the rest of your days, and you'll constantly be wondering, why is this happening to me? Because you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah, no.
Right? So in order for us to do what we do every day, because every day isn't, sunshine and rainbows.
No.
It's just not, regardless of what people want you to believe. We still have to get up and be present. Whatever happened yesterday doesn't matter, And 9 times out of 10, how we perceived what happened to us yesterday really wasn't what happened. It's our perception of it.
That's right.
That's what makes the rule, the law for us, for you individually.
Yeah.
So when we get up in the morning, I know for sure we're getting up and we're saying, what do we got to do? I mean, we're literally hitting the ground running. Whatever problems there were yesterday, it's not a problem today.
It's just an opportunity. It's always just an opportunity.
That's exactly right.
Hey, they don't call the present for nothing, but it's a present, and you have to unwrap it.
Right. So you can see what's in the future.
Yeah, man.
Ooh, how deep is that?
So listen, I got other stories here.
I want to hear more stories.
Well, what? So,
listen to the music.
The music. So,
Steve, tell us another story.
I like this. I'm going to repeat one of my stories.
All right.
And the reason I'm going to repeat it is because there's some other points within that story, I think, that are salient. But it's the 18-unit apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's certain stories that really stick out. I've talked about the very first one that I did.
Yes.
And it scared the hell out of me. And I made $500 on an assignment fee, but it became real.
Yeah.
I do not remember the second one.
You were on a roll at that point.
I couldn't tell you what the second house
Yeah.
was that I ever did on an assignment.
Yeah.
But that was a few years ago. But the 18 unit, the reason I like that one so much is because it made us a ton of money.
Yes.
And but it was also eye-opening for me. And here's the whole point. The guy that sent it to me is really a commercial guy. He understands this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he does every single day. And he sends me this 18-unit apartment building for $450,000 that's got 4 units that are totally down, but it's also generating $8,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do anything else but just do some quick math in your head, that's about a 20% cash on cash return, right?
Right.
Plus there's upside potential, but if you start doing your cap rates, then holy moly. But the reason I wanted to point this out was because he does this every day, and he sent it to me, and he wasn't sure what he was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
He did not know. And he said, "What is this? Does this make any sense to you?" And I know what he was thinking. It was not in a great area, and but it's also in the path of serious gentrification that's going on in Atlanta.
That's for sure.
It was like right on the edge. Most people wouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah.
They drive down in the neighborhood and they look around and they say, "What are you thinking?"
I mean, we sold a house in that neighborhood. We bought it for 40, sold it for, I think, 70.
Yeah.
And then a year and a half later, that guy that bought it and fixed it sold it for 145, and we could not believe it.
We were shocked. I said, "Oh my God, he's not going to get that," but he did.
He did get it.
Yeah, but you did a really nice job of renovating that.
Well, yeah, it was very nice, but it was still. I mean, it was probably over renovated for the neighborhood, especially at that time.
Yeah.
But the comps we were looking at over there were no more than $106,000.
That's right.
It was.
But
amazing.
That's the point. Really, is everybody wants to look back.
Yeah.
At comps.
Yeah.
And I keep telling people, and they get a glassy look over their face. I say, you see these high comps here? These the ones that are really high that were, through last year. Where do you think they came from?
Yeah.
Because, I know that you want to look in the past, but why don't you look in the future and create some new high comps?
Mm-hmm.
And do that with a quality product and a quality renovation. That's where these things come from.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of resistance to that.
Well, there definitely is. I mean, obviously, people are pulling from market conditions. They're looking at this sector and that sector and what this person is doing or saying, and then they're drawing conclusions as to what things look like. I mean, when we want to sell a house now, we can't even look 6 months back. We got to look 3 months back.
That's right.
Because of the way they define market conditions.
And I get it. And I want to sell in future value, but I want to buy in past value or present value.
Exactly. Whichever one suits us best.
That's right. Exactly. Hey, we're marketers. It's like
buy low, sell high. You know what I mean? For the most part.
But yeah,
for the most part.
That's right.
But, I mean, I think that's what it is. I mean, when I look at some of the deals that we do and the way they do it, or we do it, because we have so much experience, because we've allowed ourselves to educate ourselves. We put ourselves
some the easy way, some the hard way.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people really don't take the time to do that. I mean, how many people are just going to sleep reading, waking up reading,
right?
Having moments in their day when they're reading or asking questions, putting themselves in groups that they don't belong because they know they don't belong in the group they came from because they've already surpassed that.
When I was doing seminars and occasionally, and I'm talking to a group of people,
yeah,
I want to find out who's serious about this. And I'll just say, okay, how many people have actually read a purchase and sale agreement, real estate purchase and sale agreement?
Mm-hmm.
And, usually 1 or 2 out of 100 will raise their hand. Okay, those are the serious guys, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
I went along for a while and just kind of filled in the blanks without reading it. And I said, wait a minute, this isn't going to work. I need to understand what it is that's in this contract. So education is what you were talking about.
Absolutely. Whether it's self-education, paid for education, mentorship, whatever it is, you have to get educated and you have to get experience. The only way we're able to do what we do is because of what we've already done and what we continue to do.
Right.
And that's educate ourselves, make sure that we're familiar with laws, certain techniques, things of that nature, because people look at us, the people that are close to us,
right,
and they're just in awe of, and this is not,
and they should be.
I'm not tooting anyone's horn here. Honestly, this is real life. If you're around us and around people that are around us, even the people in the business, agents, brokers, other investors, newbies, experienced investors, how are you guys doing this? How did you structure that? I don't get it.
Constantly, we're getting that question. I
exactly.
know. Yeah.
Even like that 60-unit building.
Right.
We did a no money down deal on a 60-unit apartment building.
That was in a rough part of town.
Zero money down, with financing in place, with renovation money also in place. $0 out of pocket. And this was a true no money down deal. Because
you got a little cash out of the deal.
Yeah, exactly.
When we did it,
when it was all done,
because we needed money to pay for the appraisals and things that were going to be coming up on the refi.
But it was all done. We didn't pay anything, and it wasn't even a situation where you hear no money down, and it's like, oh well, it's other people's money. It's other people's money. None of that existed here. It was a truly structured, no money down structured deal.
Yep.
Truly, and we walked away with money. Not a ton of money, but enough money to do what we needed to do, get the renovation started, and pay for a bunch of stuff. But not a ton of money. It's relative.
Not at all.
It's relative as well. I mean, it's when you've got a $800,000 renovation in front of you.
Yeah.
$50,000 is a lot of money.
It's, exactly.
So, but just 50,000, people are like, what? Because you can spin it that way.
Yeah. You know. You were talking about education. Go to realestate360show.com and sign up for the mentor program that we have. But I know we don't really have enough time to really talk about that. We've gotten a couple applications. We need some more.
Yes.
Do you need to sell your house? Well, our company will buy your house. We make the process very fast, very easy, and it's all cash. All you have to do is give us a call today.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
And we are back. We are back. Hey, Steve.
Hey.
It was a great break. I enjoyed our conversation.
It was crazy. What the heck? This is the lost, in between segments of the Real Estate 360 show.
I'm telling you, we got to put those on the YouTube channel.
But, in the last segment, I kind of ended up very quickly with our mentor program that we're offering as a scholarship. And we've gotten, a number of applications there. We want some more before we make a decision. And this is serious business, people. So if you're in the least bit thinking that you want to be in this, well, actually, we don't want you if you're in the least bit. But if you're very serious about becoming a real estate investor, then go to realestate360show.com, click the link, fill out the application, and we will get with you and review that with you. And we're going to make a decision here, pretty soon.
That's right. So let's get to it.
Yes. And now, where can people find us?
Listen, I want to thank everyone that has been listening and following and subscribing to our information, our good stuff on YouTube, every podcast platform there is. Real Estate 360 is doing very well because you guys are supporting. So thank you so very much for supporting and engaging. Please continue to do that. I just don't know what to say, but thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, and continue to do so.
Yes, thank you very much.
So, Steve, I want to hear a story. And in my mind, that story contains the number 6.
Okay, I know the one you're referring to. Here we go.
It's just my psychic ability.
Here we go. So once upon a time, there was this real estate investor, that would be me, who got a call from another real estate investor. And she's a serious businesswoman. I'm telling you, she markets for single family houses, writes contracts on them, buys them, sells them, do whatever. But she's up in the northern area, the northern suburbs. That's where she prefers to be.
Mm-hmm.
So she calls me up. She said, "Hey, do you have any interest in 6 houses down in southwest Atlanta, actually?" And I said, "Well, it just so happens that I would. How much and what's the situation?" She said, "Well, it's some older folks that have an estate that they just want to really get rid of these houses, and I have them under contract, and I want to sell them for this amount of money." And I said, "Okay." So I wrote her a contract on it. And so, again, this is looking for the differences in understanding and marketing between investors and other investors, right? It's kind of finding the gaps.
That's right.
She certainly could have probably wholesaled these off herself. Maybe. I don't know.
She really didn't have the interest, though.
She didn't have any interest, and she really didn't have the infrastructure built in to market in those areas.
Right.
She didn't want to buy them. She didn't want to close them. She didn't understand those houses. It just wasn't her thing.
Right.
So I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I'll take those. And so I wrote her a contract, sizable amount of earnest money on 6 houses. And I said, these make sense for us. And when I say us, I meant, me and, Jason O'Mile.
Yes.
And so I sent them out, and you called me and said, "Hey, I got a buyer for these." And then what happened? I don't know what happened after that. I mean, I do.
Yeah. Well, very, very shortly after that, we sent them out the same way we got them.
Yeah.
As a package, not to be separated.
Mm-hmm.
Because no matter what, we had to buy them as a package.
Exactly.
So we didn't want to buy them. We didn't want to spend the money on the buy. So we wanted to hurry up and get a buyer so we can use their funds as pass-through to cover basically on the double close side.
That's right.
So we work with a lot of groups around the country. We work with folks out of California, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming. I can't wait for Arizona to get back into the fold, but
right.
But for the most part, but it's up and down California. We've got groups in San Diego, San Francisco, L.A., Oxnard.
Oxnard?
We've got people in Oxnard.
I had no idea.
And Ontario. By the way, well, I won't get into that.
Yes.
But we had someone that was interested in. We had 2 groups that were interested in them day one.
Right.
Day one. One gentleman had a lot of questions, but, he followed through with his earnest money. He followed through with his due diligence. We had to give it to him on something like that. And, gosh, I think we wound up making, I can't even remember, but it was a good close.
Yeah.
That was and it was quick. We met our deadline. I think there was an extension that we had to get in there because of the due diligence period.
There was.
But, it was the end of the year, an end of the year deal for us, right around Thanksgiving, as I remember it,
yeah.
Or maybe right after. And so it was a pretty solid deal that we were able to put someone in those properties, a new buyer who wanted, in this particular case, to rent them out, allow for market conditions to accelerate a little bit, to improve, let's just say, so that he could fully renovate these properties and get all the money, as it sits on the backside of a really, really good neighborhood in 30315.
He's going to make some serious money on that, just holding those for a fairly short amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, once we come out of this cycle, I think that going into the spring, I don't know where he's at with those.
Yeah.
That is an area that they are doing an enormous amount of renovation to. And I know in the next 3 to 5 years,
oh yeah,
they've got a lot of plans for things to go on that major street right there that are just going to change the demographics over there.
Yeah. One thing that came out of that particular situation was the same lady that had these 6 also had another one that I arranged the financing and just bought it.
Mm-hmm.
And it came with a separate lot,
Mm-hmm.
and paid about $35,000 for that house, and put it out, sold it to another wholesaler who actually turned around and sold it to an end developer person that was
Mhm.
going to take that particular property and either renovate it or just rebuild there.
Right.
And the numbers on that were, I purchased it for 35, sold it for 60. And they turned around and sold it for 90. So I'm thinking, well, darn, I could have sold it for 90. But no, I really
Right.
couldn't, because
Right.
I thought that was really too much. So I wanted my numbers to be a little more conservative. Now, the cool thing about that is it had a separate lot. I didn't sell the lot with the house. So I actually, we still
Mhm.
have that lot.
That's right.
It's still sitting there free and clear.
And that's on the exact same street as the 6.
exactly same.
So just
street.
think of the guy that bought the 6. He's in them for $55,000, $60,000 a unit,
Right.
and there's comps, same houses across the street at 90,000.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already, on paper, he's got a 50% profit margin.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. There's a comp right there. The
That's
one
right. That's
that-
right.
that
And not
happened.
to mention all the ones around the corner within a 2-block radius. It's incredible over there.
Yeah, within a block, there's some fairly newly constructed ones, that were built, I guess, early 2000s, and they're the 2-story bungalows that are
Yeah.
probably worth $250.
Yeah.
And that's where I see that little street going is, nice
For sure.
bungalows, $250, and a great location close to downtown.
That's right. And it'll be there. I think it's going to take a few more years, but
Yeah,
it'll absolutely be there.
yeah. It's not a pretty street right yet, but it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are the things. I mean, you'd brought up a good point. I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what you said there. You talked about this investor, which we see a lot of people that I-20 seems to be the dividing line between, one set of buyers and sellers and another set of buyers and sellers. Two
Right.
different hemispheres,
Yes, it is.
right? So investors on the northern hemisphere are completely unaware of what's going down on south of 20.
Right.
I'm not talking about the south side of the city, just south of 20. I mean, it could be as close as the West End,
Yeah.
and a lot of them just do not pay attention. It could be as close as Southeast Atlanta. It isn't. It hasn't been until the last 5 or 6 years that they really got, investors on the north side, maybe 7 years, that they really took stock in what was going on in Southeast Atlanta.
Yeah. That's right.
And it's
And Southeast Atlanta is strong. My
it's
gosh.
super strong.
That's-
It's just incredible. We've got a deal on Glenwood over there.
yeah.
Right across the street from East Lake Golf Course. Not John A. White. That's a different price.
Right.
You got to go on the other side of 2nd Avenue, and the numbers change.
Yeah.
We're looking at high 4s, low 5s
Yeah.
on a 2,700 square foot house. But to get to my point, there are ways for investors out there to find other investors to do business with that are finding deals all the time that they pass up. Because I was guilty of that when I was unaware of everything early in my career, everything that I had access to.
Mm-hmm.
There are investors on the north side of the city that investors can market to. Other investors can market to investors that are north of the city that are getting leads to stuff on the south side that they wouldn't even consider doing business
Right.
on.
Yeah.
That's a way to do B2B transactions, just like the one you're describing here, because she did not know how to deal with those. And there are so many of them that don't. And then they're unwilling to.
Remind me to tell you about the investor that was in Alpharetta that bought a house basically in Ormwood at the auction, and he didn't know what to do with it.
I'm going to remind you right after the break.
Hi, this is Sammy with Sammy Hadid Real Estate Keller Williams. Are you looking for a top producing agent who will look out for your best interests? Top dollar on the sale of your home, a well-negotiated contract, an efficient closing? please call me at 305-978-4249. I'm more than happy to set up a consultation. I'll put together a proposal for you to net top dollar for your home, what it is that I'm doing to get all my homes sold. Then you can decide what's best for you. Again, I'll do whatever it takes to get your home sold for top dollar, and I promise you that I will protect your equity with my life. 305-978-4249. Sammy Hadid, Hadid.
Welcome back, Real Estate 360 show.
We are back. Steve,
Yes.
let's talk a little bit more about that Ormwood deal.
Oh, yeah.
For someone who just doesn't know the opportunities that are in front of them.
So this guy was really a courthouse steps foreclosure buyer, which is kind of rare, but he was really focused in Alpharetta. You know, he was looking for, the $300,000, $400,000 houses that he could go in and put 150 in a renovation.
Right. Really turn them into something.
And make 100, 150 on them, or 200 or something like that.
Right.
So he's at the courthouse steps, and I'm talking to him after the courthouse steps, of course, because I don't go there. I just can't see it. Every time I try to buy something down there, I just said, man, I can buy stuff like this cheaper.
Yeah.
Just running around, the town. But so he picked up this house for like $10,000, and it was on in Ormwood Park, which is next to Grant Park.
Mm-hmm. And
I said, let me buy that from you. Let me contract it from you. Let me do anything with it. I didn't even know what it looked like. It didn't. He said, look, I drove past it, and he actually gave me the address, and I went and drove past it. It wasn't much. It was like 1,000 square feet, $10,000. But, that house was worth $60,000 just sitting there.
Right.
The lot was worth $60,000.
Yeah.
He didn't know that. He was in Alpharetta. He said he drove past it and looked at it. It looked like a shack that you'd put in the back of the yard.
Right. Keep the lawnmower in it.
Right. and so he kind of ignored me, and he just gave it to one of his friends. He said, "Here, you can have it." I said, "Okay." I mean, here's a guy that didn't understand. This is a good point, I think. People will not understand that sometimes you can just buy something when you buy it, you're just getting it so cheap you don't have to do a darn thing to it.
Mm-hmm.
You can turn right around and sell it for more money.
Mm-hmm.
He did not understand. He said, how can you do that? Don't you have to add value to it? Well, I added value to it when I bought it.
That's right.
Because I recognized that there was more value there.
That's right.
It. He said, well, no, don't you have to go fix it up? Don't you have to paint it? Don't you have to do something? I said, I did something. I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I
mean,
that is the definition of wholesaling.
That is what we do, and that is that's a perfect place for a lot of folks to start. I mean, there's so many different ways to do real estate, as we've talked about over and over and over again. But the reality is, for you folks that are listening to us, whether you're listening to us on the radio right now, on a podcast, or on YouTube, or on the website, you have to think greater than you are now. Okay?
And you have to think a little bit out of the box.
Well, absolutely. But it starts with, be there already.
Yeah.
Be there mentally. Believe that you're there. Know that you're there. I mean, in the Bible, it even talks about, and I can't quote the scripture for sure, but I was talking to some Bible people, some very religious people, and it's like, speak it into existence. The power of the tongue. What you speak becomes reality. So if you want to be a successful real estate investor, if you want to be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, a billionaire, you have to act as if.
That's funny, because that's why I asked you earlier in the show is, who or what did you want to be when you grew up?
Yeah.
I'm listening to this stuff on YouTube, and I'm constantly, every day, I'm listening to something about the law of attraction and manifestations and the physics of the universe. And there's this one particular guy, Brian Scott, that I was listening to, and he said, the best person that you can get as a mentor to create the reality that you want to create is an acting coach.
Mm-hmm.
Acting.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you
just
have
said
to act as if.
Exactly. So I am a billionaire financier and philanthropist.
There it
And
is.
how does one act and feel and walk and talk when you are that?
You just do it. I mean, we literally just had this conversation the other day.
Yeah.
You know, you simply just do it. You know, if you want to start a fund, start a fund.
Yeah.
If you want to start a scholarship, a foundation, start it. Start it. You don't even have to know where the money's coming from.
Exactly.
Just start it and know that that's in your frequency now. That's part of the frequency you're
Stuff will
omitting,
show up.
and it just shows up.
It's no different than you saying, "Hey, I wonder whatever happened to so and so."
Yeah.
And that's maybe it's a good friend or an ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend from 10 or 20 years ago or a long time ago or even a couple years ago. You either say it out loud or you just think it.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. And then within 24 hours they show up. You see
Right.
them at the grocery store. You see them on the street.
Or they
What's
appear on your
going on
timeline.
there?
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence,
Right.
people.
It's just frequencies.
Yeah.
And it's real. Everything, how you're listening to us now or watching us now is a frequency that you're tuning into. So there's no difference from sitting there watching us and believing internally for yourself that you're there. You have to think greater than you actually are, no matter where you are. And understand that we all have difficult times, rough thoughts. We're always going to question and maybe even doubt ourselves. It just happens. We have those moments, but they have to just be moments.
That's right.
Very, very brief moments. And then you move forward.
Well
Simple as
said.
that.
Well said, my man.
Well, thank you, sir.
So,
Because all this is
Thinking-
mindset, Steve. I'm sorry, but it's just mindset.
it's what?
All of this is mindset.
No, it can't be.
It's just
That
mindset.
doesn't make sense.
You know, can I tell a story?
Well, if you must,
I'm going to tell a story about
please tell a story.
just overcoming, just believing.
yeah.
When I started this, Steve, before we got back together and I had to rebuild after, I call it my own personal reconstruction period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did it all. I had a friend who worked for a property management company. I couldn't get the opportunity I wanted with him, so I took the one that was in front of me. And that was me taking service calls.
Okay.
So I could save up money, and have down payment money and be able to do these things. I would do those and I would do real estate. I mean, I did everything. I didn't know how I was going to eat some days.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how I was going to have enough gas to get from Southwest Atlanta to Alpharetta to fix a pressure valve underneath a house.
Right.
I had no idea how I was
you
going to
took
do
those kinds of service
those
calls.
kind of service calls.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Because I did that because, one, I wanted to have an in with the property management company when it was their time to sell. I knew that they bought things that they didn't renovate and simply just wholesaled them.
Okay.
So if I could develop that relationship
Yeah.
and develop relationships with the guys that are actually doing real work, not the guy like me tinkering around, fixing a leaky toilet, right? Because that's what it was. But I did what I had to do. But in my mind, I was making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month flipping real estate.
Of course.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was doing that at that moment.
$83,333.33.
That too.
Right.
You got to hit that $1 million mark, right?
That's right.
But that's what I was doing in my mind. I believed, and no one could tell me anything differently. Now, there were people in my immediate circle that thought I was crazy. How are you going to do that? You can't do that because of that. I said, look, I've already done it. I know what it takes to do it. So you're either going to ride along with me or you're going to get off the train now. And it was hard for them to get off the train from me, but it happened. It happens because everyone that's around you isn't going to believe in you. They're not going to believe until they see. And then when they see, it doesn't mean you have to treat them less than. Everybody isn't going to believe in you because the odds of everyone that becoming successful because they say they want to become successful, it means nothing. You have to have action behind it. You've got to get out there. You've got to educate yourself. You got to do all those things that we talked about. You have to put yourself in circles that are bigger and better than you and learn from the bottom up. And as soon as you start getting to the top of that circle, find another one.
Right.
Just find it. And you can even create it. I mean, we've got a group that we're creating for high net worth individuals.
Exactly. And it is on guess what? realestate360show.com.
That's right.
Click on the Millionaire Meetup group.
That's right. And that's just to sit and talk about, options available. It's not even just real estate. It could be technology. It could be storefronts. It could be franchises. It's whatever, but it's a place for people with a specific net worth that want to get to another place.
Yeah.
Can do that. Now, maybe you're just a guy or a gal. I don't even know if that's acceptable to say anymore, but maybe you're just a man or a woman.
Who cares?
But
Who cares?
Right. You're just a person that's out there that wants to do something, and you're nowhere near the millionaire status. Listen, who says you can't crash the party?
Right.
Right? Am I going to kick them out? No. I'm going to appreciate it.
Well, the question is, am I going to let them in?
Well, there it is. That's exactly what I'm saying, right? I mean, I drove into East Lake Golf Course because the gates were open one day. The gates were open. I drove in and acted like I was supposed to be there. Now, I didn't get to play. They caught me well before I got on the green. The point is, I gave it a shot, though. That's the point I'm trying to make.
At least they didn't point you to the maintenance shed.
No, for some reason they noticed me. I don't.
Oh man,
I don't know.
So what you're saying is it's really all mindset.
It's all mindset. Just go for it, man. The worst that you can get is a no, and that no is only momentary.
But it has to be created in the mind first.
Absolutely.
Everything we look at was nothing but an idea at some point.
That's right.
And it all comes from vibration. It is still vibration. We just think it's real.
That's right. And just a sidebar on that, these techniques that we're using in real estate in particular, they're not new, they're not special. They didn't just come around. There's no special sauce like you see on some of these shows with some of these gurus. These techniques are literally hundreds of years old.
Thousands of years old.
I mean, come on, guys. Anyone that's just read a history book can understand what landlords are, and all this stuff is from another time, another place that was transferred here, and now we're utilizing it. Even our attorneys have a royal moniker on the back of their name, Esquire. So just get with it. Understand that this isn't new. It's been around, and you can do it. So simply just do it.